Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about how I shot in a Call Me By Your Name aesthetic. And the cinematographer is actually Thai, and so am I, so that's really cool. But basically the first thing you want to do is find a really beautiful summery area like I live in here. It just has to have a lot of green, a lot of trees, a lot of nature. As for color grading, I just did match color with a bunch of scenes from Call Me By Your Name, but it's very yellow and green and very warm. But then some of the shots of the sky or water are more cool, and indoors it can be more cool as well. Also got to throw in a little slow pan, which is very often used. But then also to get the kind of film look, I added some grain and added some noise, and I also added this slight film glow since it's shot on 35mm film. Since these are 35mm lens, I also decided to use a 35mm lens obviously for this shoot. But since it's not a professional camera, this doesn't look as nice. But then also, of course, the use of several live stills is very important because he loves live stills. Also, again, I was going to make a True Like Eric Romero video. However, I realized that Call Me By Your Name, since the director and the writer are very inspired by Eric Romero, the style is quite similar in the way that they shoot, and the aesthetic is overall very similar, you know, countryside, a lot of nature, a lot of conversation. Also, Guadagnino wanted to attempt to reduce the barrier between the viewer and the story by having a lot of it's not very stylistic. Everything is very accurate to the point of view of the eye, which is also why these are 35mm lens, but everything is very intimate with the characters. And I think it's hard to try to reduce these stylistic elements, but just film what's going on. But then also, I'm always attempted to add a little bit of zoom in post, a slow zoom, but they don't use that ever because it's a prime lens that they used, so everything is static or dynamic. Although I didn't decide to focus on sound in this shoot because I wanted to focus on the actual cinematography. Sound design is so important in this film. Everything feels so soft and intimate. Again, it's that atmosphere that they create. The sounds are so realistic. Everything is natural. There's barely any music besides the actual diegetic sound and the ending scene, of course, but it's very limited to that, and it's very beautiful. You become completely immersed in this experience. And just a lot of shots of people, them being the subject in the frame, and a lot of variety between close-ups and medium shots, a few long shots, but everything is very intimate with the characters. But this aesthetic is very challenging, especially since I lack any access to gay men, so I had to, do with what I had with my sister and my friends and my friend's sister. But I love the atmosphere of intimacy that it really captures, and I think that's one thing you just have to think about when you're shooting, because just try to capture the same feeling. And there's also one thing I couldn't do, but it's the switching focus between characters in the foreground and the background. Unfortunately, I couldn't do this with my lens, but that's something you could do if you're trying to capture this aesthetic. But yeah, I tried my best. It's very difficult getting this aesthetic because Guadagnino is an absolute genius, and so is the writer and the cinematographer, and it's just a perfect, beautiful piece of art, and it's hard to replicate, but this is my attempt. Hope you enjoyed.